The following vision took place over the week preceding September 12th's Tuesday night meeting. That's when it culminated. The vision starts out, you can see what I perceive to be is the mountain of the Lord, but it's much like our mountains locally, so just filled with trees, and you just see multiple mountains. In looking back, you can tell that, or sense that this is where our people dwell, and there's many different, like tent-like, tabernacle-like structures that house people, and that there are like different various fires or whatever for warmth or cooking, and there's a big or a long white wall that goes around the entire perimeter. And then at one point, you see a fire kind of kick up, and the voice of the Lord says, "This is strange fire." And immediately there was like a raging forest fire that completely annihilated all through the mountains everywhere. And so as you're looking now at the same view, you see nothing but a bunch of burnt trees, completely burnt out. At this point, there's kind of a gathering of our people. I couldn't see their faces, but I knew that this was our people, was standing in the midst of them. And two, let me think, no, it was three of our people. Three of our people walked out, and they grabbed these large basins of water, and immediately the Lord made it very clear to me that these were like foot washing basins, so basins they would have used to wash people's feet in biblical times. And although the fire was gone, there were all of these various different hot spots where fires could start up again. And so three of these members of our community just would go and drop water, and it was like an unlimited supply of water. So even though they were dumping water out, the water always remained in the basin. And so they were able to put out all of the hot spots. It was at this point then that another three, and again, I didn't see specific people here, another three people were holding like New Testament lamps that weren't lit. But they began to then go out and pouring oil all over the burnout trees, everywhere in sight that could be seen. And again, they didn't need to replenish. It was just completely filled again and again and again to pour out this oil on things. Lastly, then, I saw Brother Emmanuel, Brother Tim, and I handed them, they're like backpacks that actually they're used to help prevent forest fires. So they have like a large container that has fuel within it, and then it's like a hose or a stick that goes up, and they make these little fires so that they can back burn, so that it takes all the fuel out of the ground. And so Brother Emmanuel, Brother Tim picked these up, and they began to go all throughout the oil, and another fire completely engulfs the whole area again. And then the voice of the Lord came as if to say, "This is not a strange fire." And as the fire raged, it kind of went from the ground on up, and then the fire was actually went up like a pillar up into the heavens, and the entire land was completely replenished, and it looked even more beautiful, even more green than before, even more lush. And so there was a complete restoration of the land. It was at this time then that I also noticed that there was another person in our midst, but this time it was different. The person wasn't tangible. Like everyone else was like you could touch them. It appeared much more like a hologram. And the sense that I got when I saw that, because I perceived that this was different, it was strange, was that the Lord was saying it's kind of like a Christmas Carol story where there's the ghost of Christmas future. And so it was kind of like this implication that this is not something that has come to pass or necessarily will come to pass, but it was like a warning that this could come to pass. So whoever this person represented is something that very well could happen. And this person is standing at the wall, at the gate, and they're actually like, at first I saw them as ticket scalpers. So they were like selling tickets for people to enter into the community to observe. And so as they sold a certain amount of tickets, there were strangers that were now inside the encampment. And this person now had put on like a tour guide's hat, and was explaining kind of what happened. And the impression that I had is that the interpretation of what happened was not the proper interpretation. It was basically just like from their own understanding, their own mindset. And at that point, I looked down and saw that what they had collected for payment was 30 pieces of silver. And so that's where the vision ended. And again, I felt like the Lord was just saying this last part, which that part was 100% last night during the meeting when I saw this, that this was something that has the potential to happen, but is not something that is guaranteed to happen. And that is where it ended.